You want details? Fine. I drive a Ferrari 355 Cabriolet. What's up? I have a ridiculous house in the South Fork. I have every toy you can possibly imagine. And best of all, kids, I am liquid. So, now you know what's possible. Let me tell you what's required.
It's Life Advice. LifeAdviceRR@gmail.com is the email address. We have a ton to get to. We will not get to all of them today. Pretty standard stuff. Steve, Kyle, what's up?
Yep. How we doing?
You know what's funny is that
Barcelona, right?
Yeah, that's right. By the time this pod is out, I'll be back in LA. But yeah, my last night in Barcelona is taping a college football preview and doing Life Advice, which is fun. Yeah, I was in the cab coming back from Mallorca, like just in the back, going like, "Who fucking transferred where again?" So anyway, I appreciate the Europe there only because I'll admit, Kevin Hart in the beginning didn't really get it. And it was like, is this guy going to blow up? The answer is yes. Remember, he was like doing some ads, and then I saw some of his stand up. I was like, okay, I'm starting to get it. And then I'll admit the personal bias. He was the coolest fucking guy at the celebrity basketball game in Houston. Like, he was so normal. And I don't know, just like you can kind of tell that when he's off, meaning like turn the button off and just hanging, he seemed great. And so in a recent, I think it's a Capital One ad where he's at a silent yoga retreat and he just answers his phone and says, "Yerp," while everybody's stretching and doing yoga. I didn't think I'd normally laugh as hard as I did the first time I saw it. And I was like, it was perfectly timed. The delivery was great. So as soon as you said that, it reminded me of that. So a little shout out to Kevin Hart, who apparently, did he really tear his abdomen in a 40-yard dash?
That would be a weird publicity stunt. But yeah, that sounds sad. I mean, he definitely likes to push it. You can tell, and he pushed it.
Can I, as the idiot here, what am I missing on your? Because when we were in Spotify, or we were in Sweden for those like Spotify meetings or whatever, and somebody was like, "Oh, what up, New York in the house?" And somebody was just like, "Yer," and I'm like, what's going on right now? Is that like a New York thing?
I mean, I just grew up, and that's like how we addressed each other in the hallways of high school and middle school. I assumed it was the East Coast thing. I mean, I heard New York City, probably that could be the origin. That would make a lot of sense to me, but I was just back for a while. Yeah, Stefan, thank you. Another Poughkeepsie guy. Yes,
yeah,
Yurt
is
a
New York
thing.
All right, yeah. I didn't know. I mean, I had heard of it before, but I didn't know if Yurt was just like having a moment, if it was a comeback, like what I missed. But yeah, dudes were excited in Sweden.
Just spent a couple weeks in Poughkeepsie and Main Street. Yurt, what up? So
I had no idea. This is actually now blowing my mind. I think it's way weirder that at a Spotify meeting, a whole geographical area just addressed the other people that way. I didn't think it was around. I thought it was kind of out. I thought it was played. That's why I thought the Kevin Hart line was so funny. But maybe it's back. Maybe it's back in a big way. I mean, I hate summers over people. I hate summers over people. Seriously, your summer might be over. Some of us are still fucking milking it. Because you know what happens when summer's really over? You know what I mean? Like some of us don't, like the football people are like, "Oh, August 2nd, summer's over." Fuck you.
That's right.
Fuck you, summer's over. Summer's over when we individually decide it's over. All right.
Agreed.
Let's get to a couple emails. We're going to come out hot on this one. Buddy falls for celeb and OnlyFans DMs. All right. Let's find the holes in this one. No stats. Just want to get right to it. Love it. Core group buddy that admitted something to us a week ago. We have not stopped laughing since, so much so we started a new group chat to comment on him in semi-secret. So side core thread.
I love that
as well.
It's definitely a big deal then.
Right. What's going on is my buddy, let's call him Kevin, has been DMing a semi-famous female athlete on OnlyFans. The spin is he thinks they are falling in love. I will put the woman's name at the end if you're curious. Please do not read it. I will not read it. But I can't wait to read it. He made the announcement at Guys Night, and we were all floored. We couldn't believe it, and the jokes didn't stop. I was the first to ask for proof, and he handed me his phone where I read through the DMs. They've been speaking, all caps, every day for a month. At the start, it seemed like she was flirting with him so that he'd buy content. From what I gather, her page is free, but you have to pay to unlock each picture. On her page, the pictures are about $25, and they're far from racy. However, the ones in the DM were more soft-core. He paid upwards of $75 to unlock the one she sent directly to his DM. He purchased several of them, totaling $500. It's his money, and I can't tell him what to do with it. You could tell him not to do that. But I was a bit shocked as my buddy seems to have a good head on his shoulders. As I scrolled the more recent DMs, I noticed there were no pictures, just conversation. She spoke about some, I'm going to leave this even more vague than he leaves it. They talked about something, whatever. There you go. That's about as vague as I can make it. From what I know about her, the story all adds up. They talk about life, issues going on, and even the sport that she plays. It seems really harmless, and he hasn't spent money that I know of on any content for over the 2 weeks. So just he got in deep with the 500, and they're doing just chatting, covering all the headlines.
It's a retainer. He put the retainer down.
Yeah, right. He's like, this poor bastard gave me $500. Be like, yeah, I'll talk about Hawaii with him.
Practice was hard today.
Yeah. All right. What do you do to stretch? My buddy believes this is real because he doesn't know. Wait, my buddy believes this is real because she doesn't know what he looks like as his OnlyFans account. I don't know. What you have to put your own fucking avatar up, or you can decide, like on Twitter, to do the same thing with OnlyFans as a purveyor and not a content maker. Is that what we're led to believe here?
Yeah, I think. If you got to put your credit card in there, you probably need some sort of profile, right?
Right, some sort of profile.
Van would know the answer to this question.
Yeah, Van, the curator. Fucking the approval rating for that guy right now after last week. My God, the number of texts that I got from people on just like, holy shit, Van. Like, so don't worry. We'll have him back even more. All right. So I think this is a really important detail here. That's why I'm trying to be as clear as possible, because this is a really good sentence. My buddy believes this is real because she doesn't know what he looks like, as his OnlyFans account doesn't have a profile pic. He thinks that makes this interaction more authentic. No fucking way. This guy's. Why would anyone remotely famous who's getting people to pay for her content be like, you know what? I'm really going to hit it off he's a great conversationalist, even though I have no fucking idea what he looks like. That doesn't happen to any civilians. Okay?
I really
it just
like
doesn't.
that user 47329. Yeah. That guy's got something going on.
Balls Deep 614 is really funny. Balls Deep is always my default at. I just think, like, I always love when at Balls Deep 614 is like, I think you were a little out of line there. Like, was I balls deep? Was I?
Tell me more. Yeah.
What other thoughts do you have on the day? All right. They've brought up meeting recently, which is why he wanted to tell us and ask for advice. I was the only one to think to ask the Justice League that is life advice for answers. My question is this real? This is a verified account, and the pictures are undoubtedly her. However, I can't imagine someone that famous spending all her time talking to a faceless avatar via OnlyFans. I could not agree more. Is this only financial? My buddy swears that he's not sent any more outside of the 500 that he's out of at the moment. From what I know of her profession, he says, you know, it's not like she's making a ton of money, and I would agree because I looked ahead and looked at the name, which I'm not going to share. So there's some more questions. Should he meet her? Sure, she's hot. Why not? But they haven't talked off the app. And when I asked my buddy, he said she doesn't want him to have her number yet, but she wants to meet. Appreciate the advice. Congrats to Kyle on the nuptials. There's no way. There's no fucking way. There's no way a famous person who is being pursued by other people that have pictures and are also famous. Okay. If she's famous and single, guess what? I mean, you are battling a really tough battle. Most guys don't come back to the castle after this kind of move. And the fact that you are just an anonymous guy and she doesn't even know what you look like and she wants to meet you, this is bullshit. You're getting played. Your friend's getting entirely. She's looking at this guy being like, he already spent 500. This fucking idiot will pay again. I'll just keep playing it the entire time. That's the only possible answer, except for that little sliver of what I believe is less than 1% that he's so fucking smooth in the DMs. Of course, there's another version of this where that could be fake, or somebody could be maybe managing her profile, and that's who he's talking to. I mean, that's a possibility as well. But I don't know how any woman that's attractive, that's also famous, would be like, I'm down to meet up and sincerely meet it with somebody she's never seen what they look like. Like, I used to watch the Catfish show pretty religiously. It was like the one MTV show I could still hang with. And basically the point is like, you travel enough, you're in a hotel, you're like, all right, let's see what happened to this poor fucker, right? And next thing you know, it's like 3 hours later and you've watched 6 of them in a row. So I started getting really into it. We even had Neve on the show, on the radio show. Didn't go that great, to be honest with you. Not one of the best interviews you've ever had. But anyway, I love the show. I thought it was really good. But there'd be some girl who looked like fucking, I don't know, Eric Mangini from Minnesota, and she thought she was dating an Abercrombie model, you know? And then guess who she's not dating? The fucking guy from the Abercrombie model. You know what I mean? So it's amazing what we'll be willing to believe if we want it to be true. But in this case, it's just that Mancini line killed Kyle.
Damn it. You're right in the heartstrings. That was great.
I don't really have much more to add to this other than I think she already knows that this guy was dumb enough to pay for the photos. Couldn't be good for him. Spend our money however you want. But except for crack. That's where we draw the line. I just can't. I cannot fathom any scenario here where she actually would be willing to meet up with somebody she's never even seen a picture of. She doesn't need to do that. She doesn't need to go that route because she has other options. So I think your buddy's a sucker.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's your money. Use it when you need it. But I think this is it's not gonna come to fruition. This will probably, like you said, the catfish shows is the way they keep these relationships going is they make a plan, the plan falls through, right? That usually
Always
happens
falls through.
3 or 4 times before they even hit up catfish. Like it's usually like, I went to Denver and he wasn't there, and then we were supposed to have a video.
It was always
call
Denver. Good call, Kyle. It was like Denver half the time.
And then the video call, but his phone broke and he was only on his whatever.
My car
computer.
broke down. Is there any way you can Western Union me $84?
Right.
And, okay, no problem. And then it's like, and they're sitting there. It's like, how long have you been talking to this person? 2 years. Have you ever FaceTimed? No. He said that the camera on his phone is broken.
Right. So I think this falls through at least once or twice before he probably wakes up a little bit. It sounds like it's probably not, if this person's OnlyFans isn't like jumping, I think some of those people have probably like a full-time message writer, you know what I mean? Just to deal with the volume of whatever's coming in there. But it sounds like this is probably a person who's given thoughtful responses. But yeah, she sees you as a turquoise platinum member of her thing. You've spent $500. She wants to keep you on the hook a little bit, and if it if it's that you actually like her as a person now, as well as paying for her sounds like not super revealing photos, maybe you'll do that again, especially if you feel like you almost had it. So I think your buddy's probably gonna have this thing fall through, and maybe and see what happens from there. But I'm pretty sure you could place a bet. This is plus 1,000.
It's off the
they
board.
would actually meet up. Yeah, this is off the board. They would meet up. So I don't think this is.
Or I guess the odds. It would be. They'd give you massive odds. So maybe it wouldn't be off the board because they'd be like anybody would bet on this. But go ahead.
No, I wonder if this is like more likely that this guy spent so much money that he unlocked some sort of tier of a meetup. Like your buddy has actually spent way more than $500, and all of a sudden he has like a potential free Zoom call with this girl, and that's I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there that might seem likely, but yeah, it's everything you guys said. Like he's clearly, or at least it seems like she's just trying to milk every single dollar out of this guy, and if that's stringing him along, that's the thing too. Is man, you must have no shame if that's the situation. I would feel so shitty about like stringing some guy along to get an extra couple bucks to like fake a meetup. Like, man, that would really weigh on me. Like, I don't know that I could do that to hundreds of people. That's a tough life, man. Tough business.
Maybe they'll meet up at the mall, like at the food court right by the police kiosk or something, just to make sure it's all good. I don't know. I don't think this is going to happen, though. I think she's probably got like 2 or 3 of these guys who are like, in it. And everyone else.
$500 bucks, there's no way, like $500 is not enough to have a meetup. So, I'm sorry. Like it's not even close. So either
not
he's
even
lying.
Close.
Yeah, either he's
again,
lying or she's a, just, kind of a bad person.
Unless he's Cyrano, he's just so good in the DMs. He's just.
But your buddy, the guy has seen the DMs though. He's seen them, so like that would have been
mentioned.
Yeah. I have it. Like he's like, oh, my calves get tight too. Want to meet up? Yes, but not right now.
Right. Exactly.
Can I have your number? No. But hey, there's the highest probability outcome is that he's going to get a follow up from her at some point. It's going to be like, hey, I have these new pics or whatever, and then he's going to know. He's going to know like this was all part of the scam. The name makes it so much better. It makes it so much better too. It's an unbelievable name, but I cannot betray the emailer. I can't. But God, it makes the story 100 times better. I think that's all we have on it. Yeah, all right.
Is it who we all think? I think it's who we all
Sha'Carri Richardson?
maybe think it is. No, I don't know.
No, $500. She's not meeting with somebody without a fucking picture. Because then the problem was I immediately thought of a joke of like 3 females in sports that maybe would meet up for $500 with a non-avatar, and I was like, you know what? Why would we not make that joke? There's dudes that would meet up for like $200. Okay, little tamer, but it's a great one. Who gets the master bedroom in an Airbnb when traveling? 510-200. Game is small man Zerdrunas Ilgauskas. Haven't had one of those ever. Congrats to the originality. Cool. Who gets the master bedroom in a short-term rental Airbnb when traveling with a group of couples? I travel regularly with a group of couples. I am also in a couple. I was going to say, if you're traveling with the couples all the time, you're never getting it if you're not in a couple.
Solo guy.
Experience, yeah.
Rolls in, puts his bag down. Is like, all right.
Yeah. Like, there's a sauna in here. All right, I'm going to take this room. There's always one couple who, bold and underlined, no matter what, always runs in and takes the master. Runs in. What is this, real world? The last trip was a friend trip up to the lake, and I had taken all the steps to organize the house, pay for the house up front, and share all the check-in information with the group of 8. It's admittedly not that much work to do the organizing, but when I arrived at the house later on the first day after the offending couple, I discovered that they had taken the master. All caps again. I feel like if you were organizing party, you should get the master without question, but wanted to hear the council of 3 thoughts if there's any way to communicate that I think the organizing party should get the master. The offending couple is one of my best friends, and I consider his wife one of my best friends as well. I tend to abide by this rule, but apparently it's not as clear as I thought it would be. Thanks, and keep up the good work. They're dump trucking you, and you're letting it happen every fucking time. This is a selfish couple. Fuck them. You're totally right about organizing it. I mean, if you really wanted to get into it, you could cycle through and say, hey, you had the master last time. But the fact that they're so selfish that they think they deserve the master, and they're probably getting all the check-in information from you and then making sure they get there first, like it's some little fucking victory, and they're sitting there over pillow talk being like, it worked again. But they're so narcissistic that they can't understand that at some point, like, hey, it's kind of shitty that we keep doing this. So they're never going to stop unless you make it uncomfortable for them. Or you should make sure the next time you organize it, tell them check-ins a lot later and then show up before they do. Okay. One year we had a lottery. It was actually kind of fun. Everybody put their bags down in the living room, had a lottery, lot on the line. Cause that last pick room usually is dog shit. There's also a hierarchy of just kind of dudes in general. Like I've referenced this a couple times. We had the Colorado house that a bunch of us rented out together. I think it's the last time I've done this, but it was a ton of drama. It was one couple who's now married. That was like the genesis of this entire weekend. And then she had a friend where another one of my friends had already been doing background work for like months. So the rest of us showed up. She was gorgeous. And we were like, what's the story there? And they were like, dude, he already worked it as soon as he found out she was going and they were renting the house
tonight, man. That's like...
Yeah, we might not even see him. They may have another. So then she was off, and then there was 2 other girls, and one of them, actually, this is crazy, but we didn't find out until years later. There was like 12 to 14 guys. It was sort of this amoeba of dudes with only 4 girls, and eventually 2 were totally taken. One we thought was taken because a guy said he hooked up with her the first night and then just sort of friend hoarded her for the next 4 days. And everybody just kind of backed off. And you're like, she picked that guy. It was kind of weird, though. And then we found out years later, she's like, no, she didn't even really like that guy, but he wouldn't leave her alone. They never hooked up. We're like, okay, so that was a room that got wasted. Or maybe that guy didn't even like her. It was like, I'm just going to lie to everybody else, say I hooked up. Hopefully these guys will back off, and then I get a room.
Give me some.
And then there was like one other room with like a drape that was like the 4th option. And then there was another dude who got a master suite, and he was by himself. And I was like, what the fuck is this guy's deal? And he wasn't even close to a core guy. And then somebody told me later, because it got even weirder, in the middle of like 20 people in this house, a bunch of us made different parts of the meal, made a big dinner. It was actually a great weekend, but like he got up and did a toast to the other guy about some business thing that was supposed to happen, which, by the way, definitely never happened. But the point is that was also like this guy finding his wife and then potentially getting into this massive, massive development deal with somebody else. Meanwhile, the rest of us are pretty much drunk at the dining room table. And out of nowhere, a guy gets up and gives this elaborate business toast to like one other dude while 18 people have no fucking idea what's happening. So anyway, blood was shed for the last girl in the last room. We'll just leave it at that. So coming full circle here, I agree with you, but you need to be tougher. You need to be tougher about this because they will keep doing this until you make it uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you could say it's selfish. Also, I look at it sort of like Shotgun. And I know these people are in, a different stage of their lives. They're going on couples trips and stuff. But, Shotgun, it's kind of like first come, first serve. And I understand that, it's not always fair. And the other guys who don't get Shotgun and aren't thinking about walking out of the door, and as soon as you see the car screaming Shotgun, they're not game planning 5 minutes before you guys go to the next place. There's some people that it's really important to them that they do that, and that's what they do. And their life's a little bit more miserable for it, and everyone else sort of gets in line. I think, if it's not a clear thing like, oh, we're renting this house for the bachelor party, the bachelor gets the big room, or this guy paid more than everyone else, I could see the policy. I mean, it's also like Uno, right? Everybody's got different rules for Uno. And maybe it's the guy who books it, even though he doesn't pay any more money. He spent the 30 minutes and he's got the credit card down in case somebody goes through a fucking wall or something during the weekend. But like maybe that guy should get it if you're rotating who books it. But if that's not the case and you just play regular Uno and there's no special rules, I think that just be fucking quicker with the shotgun. You also said in your specific cases last time you showed up a day later. I mean, come on, you're gonna be like, everyone's gonna be looking at that open door and be like, I gotta wait till John gets here because he did book this thing. So
especially when this. All right, I mean, he got there. He said later in the day, not a day.
Oh,
late,
I thought he said a day later.
Maybe I read it wrong, but it is later in the day. But again, these people don't care. The fact that you've done this multiple times and they do it every single time, they don't give a shit about your feelings. They don't give a shit that you're the guy. And you're right, it's not a ton of work, but you sound like a really easygoing guy. Like some people would describe the same series of events is daunting. Be like, I had to do this, then I had to wire the deposit, I had to make sure that I figured this out, and I had to get it back from the guy later on Venmo. Like other people would look at that and act like their fucking month was ruined, and clearly you realize it's not really that hard. It's just sort of an extra pain in the ass, a couple extra things added to the day, like, oh, I got to make sure that I do that. But there should be some value in that, and it doesn't. It means you shouldn't get the worst room. Like if it sounds like you're worried about hurting feelings, which is why this is happening to you, by the way.
And because of that, though, maybe that's why the other people think they're just calling shotgun, because nobody's ever said anything that it's not shotgun, and they've been playing shotgun since they were 12 years old. I don't know.
Yeah,
they could just be oblivious.
Maybe
you either have this gene, or I would say you either have this gene or you don't. Like it's
great call.
It's like the person who splits the bill. It's the same kind of who orders more food but wants to split the bill evenly. Like those, they're always trying to game the system. Like we've talked about these people so many times in various stories. Like this is a game the system type person, and I'm like this emailer. Like I'm sort of conflict averse. Like I would be. My friends don't do this, luckily, but like if I was in this situation, I would be really uncomfortable being like, hey, dude, like I booked the room, like I should get the master suite.
That doesn't feel good to say. So.
It's just a shitty, exactly. But you shouldn't have to be in that situation. So I think what you can do, are all of your friends shitty? Like can one of them bring up the fact that maybe there should be a lottery system? It doesn't have to be you. Could your wife maybe propose this idea so you're not the bad guy? Like he just doesn't want to own up and be the bad guy here, and I get that because I would be the same way. But make somebody else, if you're doing all the work, make somebody else be the bad guy then, because you do deserve at least to rotate who has the master.
No, because you just said something that made me think of like all these little things in life where the offending party's doing something, but then the person that calls them out is then thought to be the bigger asshole. Like if you were to ever say, hey, I think we should mix it up, you guys get the master every time. And then the master couple is going to be in the second bedroom one night being like, can you believe how big of a deal they made out of that? You know what I mean? Being oblivious to their own thing where they think they're winning all the time. What we should be rooting for here is not necessarily the emailers win, but the other couple's L.
Yeah.
Is really what we should be doing. And you're right, it is a gene. It's a gene. Like there was something recently, a few guys got together. A guy that wasn't there was asking me how it went. And then he brought up something. He was like, did so-and-so pay for anything? And I was like, never went for the wallet once.
Yeah.
You know, this is guys that have known each other a really long time. And he knew to ask the question, and he wanted to get my answer so bad. He already knew the answer. And I loved giving him the answer too. I was like, yeah, never saw him go for his wallet the entire time. And he just started laughing because it was like, that person doesn't really ever change. And, I'm at a point in my life too, where I wasn't going to say, hey, you need to do this, but it was a little bit of a reminder. But this is different. Like, you're still traveling with these people a lot. So the lottery thing, seriously, is funny because you can be like, hey, we're going to make it this thing and it's going to be funny. And we're just going to do it this way. Whoa. You know what I mean? And they'll end up probably fucking winning it again. The luck they've had. All right. Thanks to Kyle. Thanks to Steve, as always. And we'll be back to 3 days a week here fairly soon. Enjoy week 0.